Can you increase the volume, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. I can increase this, but my laptop volume has nothing.
Yeah, perfect.
Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we will be playing the recorded lecture of His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu from Chaupati from Canto 4, chapter number 29, sloka number 65. I'll be playing the video now. Hare Krishna devotees, just be with me.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna devotees, is the audio is okay?
It's very low, Prabhu.
Bhagavatam.
In class, when the class starts, it will be okay.
Yeah, okay.
Entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachina Barhi. Text number 65. Tenasya tadrisham rajan lingino deha sambhavam shraddhatsvananubhutortho namanah sprashtumarhati tenasya tadrisham rajan lingino deha sambhavam shraddhatsvananubhutortho namanah sprashtumarhati. In purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear King, the living entity who has a subtle mental covering develops all kinds of thoughts and images because of his previous body. Take this from me as certain. There is no possibility of concocting anything mentally without having perceived it in the previous body. Purport. Krishna bahirmukha hana bhogavancha kare nikatastha mayatare japatiya dhare. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. When a living entity wants to imitate him, he is given a chance to satisfy his false desire to lord it over material nature. That is the beginning of his downfall. As long as he is within this material atmosphere, he has a subtle vehicle in the form of the mind, which is the stockpile of all kinds of material desires. Such desires become manifest in different bodily forms. Sri Narada Muni requests the king to accept this fact from him because he is an authority. The conclusion is that the mind is the storehouse of our past desires, and we have this present body due to our past desires. Similarly, whatever we desire in this present body will be expressed in a future body. Thus, the mind is the source of different kinds of bodies. If the mind is purified by Krishna consciousness, one will naturally in the future get a body that is spiritual and full of Krishna consciousness. Such a body is our original form. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms, Jivara Swarup Hoy Krishnara Nityadas. Every living entity is constitutionally an eternal servant of Krishna. If a person is engaged in devotional service of the Lord, he is to be considered a liberated soul even in this life. This is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Iha yasya harir dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilashvapi avasthasu jivan muktah sa uchyate. One who engages in the transcendental service of the Lord in body, mind and word is to be considered liberated in all conditions of material existence. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. We must teach people to absorb themselves always in the service of the Lord, because that position is their natural position. One who is always serving the Lord is to be considered already liberated. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Mam chayo abhivicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati te dan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. The devotee is therefore above the three modes of material nature and is even transcendental to the Brahmana platform. A Brahmana may be infected by the two baser modes, namely Rajoguna and Tamoguna. A pure devotee who is free from all material desires, experienced on the mental platform, and who is also free from empiric philosophical speculation or fruitive activity, is always above material conditioning and is always liberated. The scriptures say, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoh bandhaya vishaya sango muktya nirvishayam manah. Mana eva, just like Krishna says, Mam eva ye prapadyante Mam ekam sharanam raja. Similarly, this verse says, Mana eva, he says, only the mind. Mana eva manushyanam karanam. The mind only is the cause of bandha mokshayo, for bondage and for liberation. When does the mind become cause of bondage and when does it become a cause for liberation? Bandhaya vishaya sango. When the mind is connected to vishaya through the senses, vishaya means the sense objects, then bandhaya, it becomes a cause of bondage, and mukti, it becomes liberated, it is the cause of nirvishayam manah, when it is freed from vishaya. Vishaya chhadiya kobe shuddha hobe mon, kobe hama herebo Sri Vrindavan. Vishaya chhadiya, Narotanda Acharya's praise, Vishaya chhadiya kobe. When will I leave this Vishaya? Vishaya chhadiya kobe shuddha hobe mon. When will my mind become purified? Because tabe hama herabo Sri Vrindavan. Then I will be able to see Krishna face to face. We have, instead of facing Krishna, we have turned away our face. That's how Prabhupada begins his purport. So we always wonder, whatever we say, Prabhupada begins the purport with Krishna bhuliya jiv bhagavan chakare nikatastha. Because that is the root. And an Acharya helps us to be fixed to the essence, never digressing to any unnecessary details that may not be required. So, it is described in the 15th chapter, Urdhamuram adhashakam ashwatham brahurabhyam chandamsi yasya paranani yastam veda savedavit. The knowledgeable person is he who understands that this whole material world is a reflected, perverted reflection of the original variety of real enjoyment of the spiritual world. The real enjoyment, variety is the mother of enjoyment. And then there is variety. Here also there is a variety, but it is a perverted reflection. And it is explained, Prabhupada explains in that purport that if you go to a crystal clear lake and if there is a tree, you see the perverted reflection. And what is topmost in that reflection is the bottommost part of the object, and what is the bottommost part of the reflection is the topmost part. This is what it means to be perverted. And what is the reflecting surface? This reflecting surface is desire. If there was no reflecting surface, there would not have been a reflection. So for a reflection, a reflecting surface is required. And that surface is the desire. Now what kind of desire? A desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. So it is the desire which gives rise to the subtle body. Otherwise, we don't need a subtle body. We don't need a gross body. We are pure spiritual, eternal spiritual body in the spiritual world. But when we want to enjoy separate, we can't enjoy spiritual. Spiritual enjoyment means Krishna is the enjoyer, and we have to cooperate to enjoy. So if we want to enjoy separately, we have to be given a forgetfulness. How can I enjoy if I come to your home, just walk into your home, open your fridge and drink a bottle of some nice drinks, cold drinks? How can I walk in if I know very well that it is your house? If I go mad thinking that it is my house, in forgetfulness, or somebody hits me, I get an accident, and suddenly I walk into any house and I think this is my house, then only I can directly walk into the kitchen, take out something, eat, and sleep on the bed or do any damn thing. So the whole idea is, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Krishna, by His mercy covers. His mercy is covering our consciousness. Why does He cover? Because if He doesn't cover, how can you enjoy separately? You can't enjoy separately. So He makes us forget that we are eternal servant. That is real knowledge. And in ignorance we think we are tiny Krishnas, in the center of the whole universe, center of all activities of our life and also its extensions. And we see everything from our perspective rather than Krishna's perspective. Knowledge is to see everything from Krishna's perspective, not from our perspective. So that perverted reflection is based on desire, and then start everything. All problem starts. And yastam veda saveda vid. And one who knows this reflected banyan tree in and out, he is Vedavit. He is the knower of Veda. Vedavadinaha. Vedavadi means one who knows the Vedas in and out, thoroughly. And what is the Veda? Veda means to know basically three things. Our relationship with Krishna, to revive that and to truly have happiness, enjoy that happiness. These are the three subject matters in the Veda. And he describes how actually the living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna. And because of this entanglement, enmeshed, he is caught up in the banyan tree of material existence. And in this banyan tree of material existence, forgetting, he feels that this banyan tree is all in all. And therefore, like a monkey, he is jumping from one branch to the other, one branch to the other, one sub-branch to the other, In this way, he transmigrates from one kind of species to other kind of species. Brahmanda Brahmite is simply wandering in this whole tree of material existence, sometimes in a bigger branch called the Devata's branch, and a human branch, then there is a birds and bees in the 84 lakh species. He's simply traveling. So the root cause was desire. Desire gave rise to the subtle body, and subtle body's inclinations give rise to a suitable kind of gross body. This is the process, how it works. Just like upstairs, these beautiful murtis are being formed. If you see how these murtis are formed, first a skeleton is made. You want a sitting posture or a standing posture. So first a bamboo stick is put, like whatever posture should be. Then they put a grass. Lot of grass is covered, or hay. They cover it and tie it. And then they put mud accordingly. Then that subtle, external features properly manifest. So the framework can be compared to a desire, and the grass is compared to the gross body, and the mud that is put on top can be covered, in this example, to the grass to the subtle body, and the mud that is put, external features being nicely painted, to the gross body. So, in and of itself, the mud and grass have no existence until there is a framework. And that framework is the desire to enjoy separately. That is the root cause. That is giving to the subtle body, and subtle body is giving to the gross body. And mind is the root cause of when the mind identifies itself with the gross body, then starts all the problem. Then starts the transmigrating. As described, Mamayvamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manah shashrani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Mamayvamsho. All the living entities are eternally part of Krishna. Mamayeva amsha. Being part and parcel, they are also Sachidananda. But manah is very interesting. Why he could have said shashrani indriyani. But he says manah shashrani indriyani. That's the main cause. That mind is responsible for the giving a shape of this body. Manashasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. And being situated, prakriti sthani is being situated, karshati. There is a struggle for existence. Why there is a struggle? The struggle means when you take it against some, then there is a karsha. Karshan means gharshan, rubbing. Rubbing occurs. If both are going simultaneously, there is no rubbing. Rubbing is when they are one against the other. So, we are not the Lord, we are not the controller, proprietor and enjoyer, and we are trying to become that. We are trying to become what? Therefore, it is a karshan. Therefore, there is an eternal struggle. Every time we struggle to possess something, it is snatched. Every time you control something, something goes wrong and you get disturbed. Every time you create something, it doesn't happen according to your desire, because you are not the controller, actually, you are not the creator. Therefore, a person is disturbed. So the struggle goes on as long as we think that we are the controller, proprietor, enjoyer. Till then, Ashanti. And what is material desire? Material desire means desire to lord it over. That is why when Arjuna was asked, Arjuna asked Krishna, what is the first sign of a self-realized soul? Sita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhista sita kim pravashita kim asita brajita kim. How do I recognize the sthita pragya? What is the first and foremost quality? And Krishna says, prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyeva atmana tushtaha sthita pragyastadochyate. The first quality or symptom, qualification of a self-realized soul who has realized his self, that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not this intelligence, I am not any of this, I am simply Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas. The first thing is Prajahati. Prajahati means he has absolutely given up. Yada Kaman. Kama, the same prema of Krishna becomes Kama when it is perverted. Atmendriya priti vancha tare boli kam, Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare prema naam. The moment we try to make ourselves the center of enjoyment, then that propensity is called Kama. But when of that enjoyment Krishna is made the center, that is prema. So, Prajahati yada Kaman, the first thing a self-realized person does, the main feature is Prajahati. He kicks out. Yada Kaman, lust, desire, or desire separate from Krishna, that is called lust. Selfish, extended self. Immediate or extended, it's all a desire. So, Sarvan Partha Manogatan, where is this coming? Where are these desires coming? Manogatan. Actually, mind is a junction between the soul and the body. Gross body and the subtle body are connected through the mind. The false ego is in the mind. The link is there. And Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. He is satisfied in what? Atmanyeva. In the self, Atmana, by the mind, he is Tushtaha. Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakali Ashanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataiva Shanta. The first thing is peaceful. Without peace, where is the question of bliss? In a disturbed mind, there is no question of bliss. First there should be peace, neutrality from all negative, then starts positive. So the first thing is, he stops lording it over. Any situation that he is put, he is satisfied. And he tries in any situation not to be the Lord and Master. That is the first sign. So, that desire, because it is that desire which creates the mind, and whatever kind of surroundings, whatever kind of impressions we allow through the senses, that kind of mold the subtle body assumes. And at the end of life, whatever mold is there, a suitable clay is put on top. Just like children sometimes play with this clay. They get some special clay. In packets they get colored clay. And, you pull the clay little and make it a human being. And then, same human being, just pull out the ear, pull a little on top and pull it a little more, become triangular shaped. Then the nose you pull a little front. And then the hands you put it down, that becomes the third and fourth leg. And then the same man becomes a dog. This, in the video they had shown this. Different way of pressing and all, suddenly all face keeps changing through that transmigration. It's a very nice way of showing. Just what you have to do is pull a thing a little, eyes a little, and becomes Chinese kind of eyes. So similarly, pull it a little extra, then it will become a fish eyes. Meenakshi. So, material nature does that. She just plays around. And she also plays, she has a rule. There's a rule of the game. Karvana devanetrena jantur dehopapatre. At the end she decides, okay, she sees what is the kind of subtle mold you have developed. According to that external stuffing she does. So, we are responsible. Now, through the senses, whatever kind of impressions we allow inside, that decides the subtle mold. It changes. The mind changes accordingly. The subtle body changes accordingly. So the consciousness of the mind determines what kind of mold you have developed, what kind of desire you have developed. And according to the desire, you get a suitable kind of gross body. So if we have developed a desire to eat meat, 24 hours simply trying to meditate how to developing consciousness of how to eat meat, actually even before giving up the gross body, slowly you can see that facial features. Slightly. Because already the subtle mold is changing. And it's only just immediately after that you get a suitable kind of body. I recently met a devotee who has left the movement and is associating with different group of people, spiritualists. But he has at least not eaten meat so far, but taking other things, onion, garlic, etc. Simply by seeing his face, you can make out that his consciousness is totally different. Simply by seeing the face. And I was thinking that I am imagining, because I am talking to him, I am knowing him. But another devotee was sitting across after he left. He came and said, just by looking at his face, I can tell you that his consciousness has changed. Face is an index of the mind. It's a fact. You can actually make out what kind of mind you are developing. So, therefore it is a responsibility of the human being to not only from within be always conscious of what kind of impressions we are allowing, but also what kind of environment we expose ourselves to. Because any kind of impressions that go, they mold the mind. So, shariram yad avapnoti yaccha api utkramati ishvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayan. Krishna beautifully explains the process of transmigration in the Gita. He says, shariram yad avapnoti. Avapnoti means accepts. And yaccha api utkramati. And what kind of body you give up? Ishvara. Ishvara here means the controller of the body. That means you have that freedom to choose what kind of gross body you're going to decide in your next life. Therefore, this word Ishvara is used here. We are the Ishvara of this body in the sense we have a choice to determine what kind of body we want. Just like a student has a choice to decide which kind of classroom he wants to go. He wants to remain in the same classroom, he wants to in the next year go to the next classroom, or he wants to go to the previous classroom. He has a choice. Whole year he has preparation. Life is a preparation, death is the examination. So you prepare, then if you are prepared your knowledge body, which is no more fit for this class. In this class only 7th grade students sit. So at the end of life, or end of that class, examination will be given to all the students. And they write their exam. And by that examination, the answers to the question, a boy shows that now I am qualified now. I am done with in this particular classroom. I want to go to the next classroom where advanced kind of students are sitting. So the supervisor sees, he says, yeah, okay, send him to the next class. And he is absolutely gets 0 in everything. Then the examiner feels, I think he is too much highly qualified for this one, or less qualified for this class. Why don't we demote him very mercifully? Demote him so that he will feel, acquainted, more at ease with that kind of students. Nowadays they may not have, but otherwise demotion is also there. He is demoted. So, antakale yamyam vapi smaran bhavam chajityante kalevaram. The mind, the state of mind determines the kind of consciousness, and that determines the next body. Therefore, Prabhupada always used to quote this particular verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 9th canto of Ambarish Maharaj. How he changed his body. Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. The first thing that he did was fixed his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. Because where the mind is the queen. And all the senses are the maid servants. Mind is considered the leader of the senses. Where the mind is, the senses eventually will go. Mind's activity is thinking, feeling, willing and acting. 4 activities of the mind. Mind thinks. Thinks means according to what the intelligence considers priority or important in life, the mind thinks about that. And in the thoughts, there are so many thoughts that come. But you feel for one particular thought more than anything else. If you learn, I should do this of all the things. Then that means you will. After that you will, I want to do it. And then the mind tells the senses, that yes, do it. I'm thinking, because of intelligence now says you are a little thirsty. And then I'm thinking, of that I prefer, thirst is most important. Right now I have to quench my thirst. Of all the thoughts, this particular thing is most important. Then I feel for it, I think I should get some water. Then there is willingness. Mind tells you, strong desire, yes, I have to get it. And then acting on it. That means I pick up the glass and put the water in my mouth. So, and then the senses act. Therefore, when we say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, mantra, the mind has to be first fixed. Because let's say, between the intelligence is always full of thoughts, but the mind picks up which thought you want and feels for it and wills it. Samai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. And the description is the Vacham Sivaikuntha Gunanavarna. So in this way, when positively engaged, Yatato yapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Now, it is the whole hierarchy is reversed in our life. Purushasya vipaschita, you may have, but indriyani pramathini. The indriyas get agitated very soon when they see a suitable object of sense, Vishaya. Prasanti, haranti prasabham manaha. The mind of such a person is even. But therefore says, Tani sarvani sayamya yukta asita matparaha. Matparaha. Matparaha means the mind is fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. And therefore when the mind is placed, slowly, gradually, the senses will come. Chanting the holy name means strengthening the mind. When our body is exercised regularly, we develop good health. And in a healthy state of body, we are not easily prone to infections of the body. Those who are weak can easily get infected. What is AIDS? That is, immunity is reduced. So easily affected to infections. Similarly, the mind has to be healthy, regularly exercised. When the mind is strong, then even though infectious thoughts may come, infectious desires may come, we have the power not to be influenced, be infected by it. That is why we chant. Chanting of the holy name is actually strengthening the mind. But if the mind is not there in chanting, then it becomes actually futile exercise. Because actually at that time, and what is the exercise? The exercise is yato chalati manas chanchalamastinam tatas tato niyamyeta. It's a struggle to bring the mind, while chanting at least, to the feet of Krishna is the real struggle. Actually, it must exhaust a person. If you are coasting along, that means something is wrong. It's a struggle. And the struggle is, after exercise, you must be really tired. So if you really exercised your mind, catching wherever it goes, bringing it to the feet of Krishna, It's a struggle. And that struggle actually fixes the mind. And when the mind is fixed, hopefully throughout the day, when the senses are exposed to different kinds of objects, the mind will not get easily prone. Immediately it says, no, that habituate is there. Immediately bring it back to feet of Krishna. Immediately bring it back to Krishna conscious thoughts. And of course, it should also be controlled by the intelligence. How do we exercise the intelligence? It should also be exercised regularly. And intellectual exercise is reading the scriptures. That means the intelligence may be like this, maybe the world runs like this. No, the world runs like this. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate. So through philosophical, proper, in parampara, amnaya, we focus our intelligence, vyavasayatmika buddhi. So in this way, when the mind, intelligence and senses are slowly made to focus, and always, even in this body, made to always think of Krishna. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira. Three things. Karmana, our activities show what is in the mind. Only when a person acts, his mind is known. Otherwise, we don't know what's in his mind. Karmana. And manasa, the thoughts that depends on the desires. And then gira. Our speech exposes our state of mind. So, through these gross and subtle form of exhibition of the mind, if we keep on focusing, nikhilashoki avasthasu jivan muktasa, even before death, such a person is already liberated. It's only a question of time when the gross body falls and there's no subtle body. Actually, it's like coconut. If you take a raw coconut, the shell of the coconut can be compared to the gross body. And the pulp inside, the white, sweet pulp inside, can be compared to the soul. And the pulp is attached to the shell when it is unripe. And if you break the coconut, it sticks. Then you have to scrape it. Even after scraping, something sticks there, Very difficult. Put all through machine and either the shell gets also scraped or the pulp remains, something like that. But before breaking the coconut, if you allow it to dry, then what happens is the pulp becomes all the water inside. When it gets dried up, then it separates, the shell, whole shell separates. You can feel that sound if you shake it, that it has separated. And when you break it, only the shell falls apart and the whole coconut round thing comes out. And that attachment, that connection is the subtle body. That attachment. And as long as it is there, another gross body, another shell. Utkramantam sitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha na anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Utkramantam, while giving up, sthitam, while maintaining the body, bhunjanam, while enjoying the body, guna anvitam, situated in three modes, vimudha na anupashyanti. Fools are not able to recognize how the process of transmigration is taking place in the gross body right now and subtly at the time of death. But pashyanti jnana chakshusha. Through this knowledge one can see. Yatanto yoginas chainam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatantopi akritatmano na enam pashyanti acetasaha. Those who are not in Krishna consciousness, acetasaha, in yoga, cannot see this. Otherwise you can easily see. And devotee was mentioning, by the activities you can know from which body has come to this body. From a demoniac body he has come to this, from lower species he has come, or from a higher species he has come. Just like the air is pure, but when air flows over a rose garden and you smell it, then you say, oh, this is a very fragrant air. So you know immediately that this air is passing via over a rose garden. But suddenly you are driving and immediately in train you will come to know in Western Railway that Bandra has come. Even without your closing your eyes, you know Bandra has come, now to get down at Bandra if you want to get down. How do you know? Vimudhana anupashyanti, those who are seasoned to live in such an atmosphere, they can't make out. But pashyanti jnana chakshusha, one who is very sensitive can see, oh, Bandra has come. Or if you're going by train, whether it is early morning or late night, you can know. By the air carrying the aroma. What kind of aroma is carried? Similarly, by one's gross body and by one's activities of the gross body, you can easily make out, an intelligent man can make out what's in the subtle body, content of the subtle body. And that subtle body, you can easily make out what is the desire. Because that desire made the subtle body, mentality, and that mentality determines the gross body. So we have to work both ways. All Krishna consciousness means attack from all sides. From gross body to subtle to desire, and from desire to subtle to gross, all kinds of attacks should go on simultaneously. Senses, as far as possible, keep in a good environment, favorable environment, engage the senses in Krishna service, so that some impression will go and stay. When we do deity worship, the hand may be moving to do arti, but is the mind accompanying? That's why mantra is there. Etani pushpani and Guru, whatever, you have to say that, etani pushpani, that means otherwise, it is simply happening, like a tape recorder chanting Hare Krishna. The mind is not in it. So the gross body, when it acts, the mind should be there, and mind also should be engaged in Krishna, so that slowly the gross body will cooperate. And while all these things, the intelligence should also be drilled to become Krishna conscious, and the desire should become Krishna conscious. So all over, attack, nothing should be left. Attack from every side, that is Krishna consciousness. You bombard the senses with prasadam, beautiful visions, beautiful sounds, engage the mind in chanting, engage the intelligence in Krishna conscious philosophy, engage the ego in humbling by bowing down, vanchakalpataru bheshya, pranadapi sunichena, and engage the soul in surrendering to the Lord. Surrendering by accepting that He is the maintainer and we are totally dependent. So this consciousness, and such a person is already liberated. Irrespective of what the senses say, irrespective of what the mind says in three modes. That's why it's a manchu abhyabhicharin. It's forcefully, till it becomes spontaneous. Forcefully engage in devotional activities, devotional environment, devotional activities, devotional thoughts, etc. Then slowly it will have impressions inside. Very difficult to change the subtle body. Gross body can be changed. But subtle body to change, you have to deep impression. It has to create deep impressions. It's like if you punch someone on the face, maybe little, but if it's a real hard punch, then even the bones get dislocated. So the impressions, if they have to affect the subtle body, the materialistic people are experts in creating impressions. They, what do you say? They emphasize or they prop up even an ordinary thing. They make it a, big fanfare about it. So some man is coming and dancing, he's about to dance. But then the dims are like there, announcement is made that such a person is coming and he's so great, he has won this medal, that medal, that medal, and sound starts and all kinds of shouting starts and the curtain, is focused. Everywhere lights are off, the whole focus on there. It creates more and more focus on that object by sound, by sense of smell, by sense of that, everything. And then, everyone is shouting and then the screen opens. That means the more the impression is strong, the deeper it goes into the consciousness. And Krishna consciousness, by expert acharyas, is like that. To the extent we create, it's a small thing. We know what the deities are inside. Okay, we know all the different kinds of dresses Maybe one of those combinations is used. But then the blowing of the conch shell, singing of prayers, preparing everything, and then, you don't know what's going to come. Today is a special darshan. Everyone is eager, and then when it opens, actually all the senses, ears, eye, everything is focused. So, it should help us to create impressions. Otherwise, generally impressions are so strong. Ajamil saw one little event, but the impression was very difficult for him to take away. So if we are filled with positive impressions, maybe one day mind will change. Hare Krishna. Questions or comments? Yeah. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Actually, where the desires spring from? Did it spring from the soul, or does the desire spring from the impressions, or intelligence is the source of all desires? There are so many sources where the desire can come from.
Desire is the only thing of the consciousness. It's consciousness. It has the freedom to choose. That means a desire. You want to serve Krishna or you want to serve yourself. That's the desire, the choice. That's the only thing of the soul. But when the desire is separate from Krishna, the facility is given. When you want to serve Krishna, facility is given. You get a spiritual body or you get a material body accordingly. So, that's the nature of the soul. And how to desire the right thing, that's why all these prayers. What to desire? We don't even know what to desire. And therefore we have to read the prayers, which is actually an overflowing of love in their heart. And what is the prayers? These prayers are nothing but the feelings or strong emotions of the soul for the Lord, expressed in different cultures through different language, through the gross body. But actually it is a call of the soul. Therefore these Dainyavodhika prayers, Samprarthanatmika, Lalasamayi prayers, these are the desires. Lalasamayi prayers are actually the desires of the soul, longings of the soul for union with the Lord, or service of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. Actually these prayers are nothing but what we sing. It's just that. These prayers actually help us mold our desires in proper way.
The mind has to align with the desires of the soul. Then it will achieve a desired objective.
Yeah.
Else, if the mind does not cooperate with the desire of the soul, then the desire will be not fulfilled.
Yeah.
In that sense, is that correct?
True. Indriyani manobuddhir, Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhyah param manaha manasastu parabuddhir. Yo buddhe paradastu saha. Higher than the mind is intelligence. Intelligence has the reins. So he can direct, he can hold the reins. So intelligence has to be powerful. And how the intelligence? That means scriptures. Guru Sadhu Shastra. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. And that Vyavasayatmika buddhi, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, is making the intelligence simply the execution of the order of spiritual master as one's life and soul. He has no desire. He has, other than fulfilling the desire of Krishna coming through the spiritual master. That is called Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That buddhi beats up the mind. Mind is like a child, unregulated child, stubborn. Chanchalam, Pramathi, Balavat, Dridham. 4 qualities: flickering, Pramathi very easily gets agitated by little one Vishaya thing comes, immediately gets agitated and creates much more. And Bhagavata very strong, because millions of lifetimes of pampering it has undergone. So you can't, sometimes children are so much pampered. Once I was in charge of one child like this. The mother had pampered the child for years. And then I said, nothing doing. You cry, you roll, do any damn thing. I am not going to see. And for hours it went on. Because he had done, maybe for 8 hours and then only he got response. So he strained, maybe after 8 hours. You have to be realistic. There is a risk. He was rolling in the road. I said, by chance, if some accident happens, suppose really he gets lost somewhere, there is a fear. But I was determined, nothing doing. I am not going to fall to his system. So I was watching so that it doesn't get problem. But no, I am not going to respond. Pamper you further. So Bhagavat is very strong and Dridham, very obstinate. It will not stop till it gets it what it wants. And therefore, spare the rod and spoil the child. You have to have the rod of intelligence, determining what is good, what is bad. Tell the mind, whether you like it or not, better do it. That is determination. That's determination. The senses may complain, the mind may complain, but determination means telling the mind, you better do like that. And mana means sankalpa vikalpa. But the mind, the intelligence has to tell the mind, this is what you have to do, sankalpa. And this is vikalpa, you give it up. It has to be guided by higher intelligence. Discrimination, viveka. That means from asat to sat, from tamas to jyotis, from mrityu to amrita. That's knowledge. You want to add someone to something? Okay. One last question.
Prabhuji, in the end you spoke about Ajamil. I always think on one way that Ajamil got training from all the actors. From childhood itself he was been very nicely trained. And as you said that we have to see to it from left and right and left. From all the angles we have to shoot. Intelligence point of view, senses point of view, mind point of view, everywhere we have to shoot. To see to it that nothing goes wrong. Even Ajamil also have done it from the childhood itself the same thing. Even after doing all these things, one thought or one sight had completely disturbed him. We are in a Kali Yuga, having forgot about the one sight, thousands and thousands of sight in a day we see it. Correct? In that circumstances, even if you are shooting from all the angles from left and right and right and left, then also it is not possible. So in that circumstances, how to see to it that the struggle goes on till the fag end of our life?
Number one, close down the shutters. When you go outside, just close down the shutters. Don't be impressed by that. Do the needful, whatever is required, so that the impressions are not deep. When they shoot, have your kavach, have your armor on. When you have your armor on and when you go, even if they shoot from all sides, still you are protected. So, that armor is required. Wear the armor. Indifference. Through knowledge you understand that, these things will be there, not getting affected. And secondly, if you are shooting there, you have to run back to a place where immediate healing is taking place. Or, as we were discussing the other day, about sense gratification. So, it's like butter and fire. So, every time the butter is close to the fire, there is some melting. Whether you like it or not, there is melting. So, if the exposure to the fire is 5 minutes, the exposure in the fridge, it should be immediately taken inside the fridge and kept for 10 more minutes to, reform, to become hard. So, to the extent we are exposed to the outside world and become susceptible, we have to counteract by coming in the association of devotees, where it is, wounds are healed and, reformed. And actually, association of devotees means taking shelter of remembrance of Krishna in the association. That's what this whole thing is all about. In association of devotees means actually where Krishna is the center. Sankirtan. That's why we have that facility. No, this is transcendental fridge. This fridge is very Narayan Jwar. The cold is more than the heat outside. So, eventually, not only just protection running away, but developing a higher taste. Mat paraha. It says, you can't restrain for long. Artificially you can't restrain for long. Vishaya vinivartanti niraharasya dena. Param drashvani vartati. You have to develop a higher taste. In the soul, what? Simply not just, like running away, that's all. But actually taking shelter and developing a higher taste. When that comes, then that's described. Arjuna asked, how does a self-realized person, kim asita, how does he sit? What does it mean? Sit means, what is his sitting posture? Which asana he sits? No. Sitting means, how does he restrain himself? He is traveling all over the world, preaching, but he is sitting at one place, at the lotus feet of Krishna. Where one person whose mind is not fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna may be sitting at one place in the Himalayas, but his mind is running all over the world for sense gratification. So what does he sit? Sitting means, how does he restrain himself? Kurmongani va sarvashaha. Like a tortoise, his senses are under control. In the association, he opens his out to absorb. Outside, puts it inside. This is how he restrains. This is how he sits at one place, though moving around. While, if the senses, yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham mana. All this Vishwamitra and all the example we give of Saubari Muni, even they were sitting inside 60,000 years or in the water of the Yamuna for many, many years. They were sitting, but their mind was traveling all over the world because their mind had all this lust, anger, greed. Prajahati yada kaman. That kaman was not given up. Whereas, this is only external. How long can you fight? It's too powerful. You have to sit at one place. That means, sit at a lotus feet of the Lord. Even though Arjuna was shooting arrows, he was sitting at one place and totally not moving. While somebody may be sitting at one place, not moving, but he is moving all over the world, all over the universe, if his desires are not pure and his senses are not under control. So, simply you can't, how long will you run away? You have to be in the world. But the real thing is, develop a higher taste. Prabhupada traveled all over the world, but rather than getting affected, he influenced. We may not be like him, so you are not asked to go across the ocean. But in the ocean of material birth and death, that itself is enough swimming. We just do that. That's this. What is the sign that you have a higher taste? To the extent you have no taste for the lower things. That is the proof that the higher taste is developed. The lower taste is there, but at least we don't enjoy. We don't look forward to those lower tastes that we enjoyed before. Heart is not enthusiastic. Initially we tolerate. Afterwards it becomes, you spit at the thought as Yamunacharya. We may not spit at the thought, but while eating at least or while doing something, we feel repentance. We feel disgust. So when we enjoy sense gratification, there should be some amount of disgust at ourselves. That is a proof that we are tasting a higher taste. If the heart is aspiring and you're enjoying it actually, then there is a danger sign. But if it is disgust and you just do whatever is necessary, it has to be part of service. Okay. A responsibility, part of duty. Therefore I do the needful. But deep in heart, I'm not enjoying, I'm looking forward. I'm not looking forward to those kind of what I used to before. Then you can say that at least some taste has come. Not otherwise. I think we'll stop here, it's quite late. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Prabhuji has beautifully explained about the functions of the mind. He has given so many relevant examples that we can relate with, and how finally, that mind can be reined in. So it was a wonderful class with many contemporary practical insights. So the devotees may please share your comment or reflections that you may have. We have another couple of, maybe one or two comments we can take in. The lines are unmuted.
Prabhu, it's a wonderful lecture, Prabhu. We have to go through again and again, listen to it. I mean, for me, to understand better, because a lot of material is there. I had understood bits and pieces. I want to go through again too.
Yeah, Mataji, very true. I think one example he gave of the attachment of subtle body to gross body with an example of coconut. That's nice. So nice. Yeah. Easy to remember and relate with.
Usually they tell about the coconut and the raw one and the ripe one, but here he has put that attached portion.
Yeah, very true.
The first time I'm hearing this, but very wonderful. But
thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Sunil Prabhu, please. Okay, there are no questions. We can end today's session with Vaishnava Pranam. Before that, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I think, as you may be aware, that there is a meeting going on. The meeting will be happening in the temple. So many senior devotees are visiting our temple. We may have a live class from the temple tomorrow and day after. The details will be published by tonight. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindobhyev cha patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
the timing will be the same, no, Prabhu?
Sorry, Mataji?
The timing will be the same, 8 to 9 only.
Timing, Mataji, if it is from the temple, normally it starts at 8:10. It will not be 8 because Guru Puja, etc. will be happening. So the class will start at 8:10 if it is happening from the temple.
Mm-hmm. Okay.